Yeah, yeah. This meeting is being recorded.
All right, fantastic.
Yay.
And don't worry, this will only be shared with the people who really need to see this. Okay, I'm going to move to our team roles and responsibilities document. I put together what I could. The idea here is to, of course, go over what all of our roles and responsibilities are, but also to get input from the past team on like if there's anything missing or if there's anything critical that really should be noted now. My intent is not to go into all of the specifics because some of that will be covered in future meetings and or just be coordinated with a smaller group of people. So let's start with program quality director. Tim, this was my understanding of what you need to be doing. You're mainly concerned with the quality of the event.
Yep.
Of the programming.
Yep. Everything that you said there is correct.
What I wanted to make sure of is if there's anything here you didn't expect.
No, I think that's fine.
Okay.
And one thing that it does talk about is everybody gets Pathways credit for this. If I have to write it up, that's fine, or maybe a not, depending on who's attending what. The point is I want everyone to get something out of this besides that. We have certain ones that are easy to do for tech chairs, like managing online meetings. We also have different ones we can also include with certain things. Just let me know if you have anything and we can discuss further.
Okay. Yeah, just to piggyback on that. Tim is definitely the expert on Pathways, so he knows, he has a sense of what the projects require, what kind of skills they are good for building. And even if he's not the one who writes up the evaluation, he can figure out with you what's the right project, and we'll find someone to evaluate you for that.
And please contact me. I'll put my email and cell phone in the chat. I'll always take your call. If I'm in a meeting, I'll call you back, but I will call back. So.
Why not? So I'll list that as an action item. Maybe I can collect all your numbers and the email thread that I already started with all of you. I'll send out our contact information there, and we'll also probably put it in this folder somewhere. Okay. In terms of resources necessary, well, we haven't really talked about it, but obviously I plan to leverage Google Drive. And there are, different features of Google Drive that we can use to keep track of information that's needed. And of course, the access and permissions will be adjusted to fit whoever needs to see or modify documents. Okay. I'm not sure, I didn't finish my section because I was making sure everyone else's section would be done, and that's why I highlighted this. I'm sure that I'm responsible for much more than this. Obviously, I'm recruiting. I've recruited some people, and I will be recruiting more people, specifically moderators, to match up with the speakers that Tim has recruited. I'm sort of the glue. I'm kind of making sure that everything comes together as a whole package for this event. The point where I wanted to talk about, there are a number of meetings. Not everyone has to attend all of them. It depends on your role. But these are all the ones that I envision happening before the TLI. And so just to have everyone be aware of kind of what all is going to happen, and we'll talk about that later, because later in this meeting, we're going to be talking about our timeline and figuring out when people are available for what. Google Drive, as I mentioned. Okay, tech chairs. You get to deal with a lot of stuff, but the cool part is you get to delegate some work to your tech co-chair, and you also, of course, have me and Tim to lean on when you need help with anything, or you need something reviewed, or you have questions about anything.
A point of information there, Anat, I want to make sure that whoever is the tech chair for the club officer training realize I will speak to every single club officer trainer, and they will need to be co-chairs during the event so they can help rename people. So the host and the chair is so busy doing breakout rooms and configuring things. We don't want them to have to worry about that. I jumped in last time. I've been working with them, and please realize that as Jacob and Anat know, I tried to stay out of the technical weeds. We did have a couple of challenges and I just told them to figure it out. Now, please remember, it's not because I'm a mean person. I'm also a retired military guy. And when I say figure it out, that's up to you to figure it out. I'm not going to say do this, do this, do this, unless, pretty much I'm asked to, or you need help if you're having a challenge. So just realize that's how I'm going to operate. We're all professionals, we're all adults, and I'm sure most of you are better at Zoom than me, and I'm counting on that.
Thanks, Tim. Yes, get input from Alan when I was talking about the TLI chair's responsibilities. We did have a call earlier, but if you have any comments on my role or my responsibilities that you think I should know about now, do say so.
Well, facilitating the meetings prior to the start or after the TLI will be
These ones?
Yes, and we're going to have a lessons learned after that. And also, you probably need to, as you said, as a glue to everyone in the team, make sure that they understand exactly what they need to do. Keep track of meeting minutes and send out reminders. Make sure the communications are on time and everything needs to happen and complete before the meeting.
That makes sense. I will do my best to actually do those things. I like to think that I'm good at keeping track of things, but who knows? I've definitely made mistakes in the past, so.
Alan
All
and
right.
Mark, is there any documents that you have that you could share copies with Anat that may be helpful that you don't have already? I'm just asking.
Sure, I will do that.
Thank you.
That's great.
And then one of the things I want to do is, like I said, we're building this knowledge, and then we're going to take what we do at our TLI and pass it on to the one for the folks in February.
Right.
And then
So
that, our goal being to incrementally improve.
So that's actually this document. That's kind of what I had in mind.
Right.
That, for example, this document could, be modified. It's a living document. You all have access to it. But in addition, we can always, for specific roles, let's say, we could create additional material and then pass that on. That was sort of my idea.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay, so back to tech chair. You're handling all of the tech related logistics. This means you're compiling music that is played in between sessions. You're you're finding out what all of the speakers need for their sessions, if they have slides, who's going to be sharing them, etc. There's anything that has to do with the controls of Zoom. You have to worry about, and of course the main thing is you have to make sure that the TLI gets recorded. And you also have to be cognizant of the fact that it's going to record whatever your screen shows and not whatever someone else's screen shows. You want to delegate tasks appropriately so that the parts that are recorded, maybe stuff that is happening behind the scenes might have to be done by someone else because you want your screen to look a certain way during certain portions of the TLI.
I think that's a great point, Anat, and perhaps the learning for all of us here is the tech chair may not be the best person to actually do that. You're going to be doing a lot of behind the scenes stuff.
Mhm.
Now, the chair that has the club officer training is really busy at the beginning.
Right.
The key thing that we need to remember this time is when club officer training is done, start recording. And I know we taught because we want to make sure that we capture everything for all of the other sessions. Club officer training, we don't record, but the rest we care about.
Do Mark or Jacob have comments on this role?
I had a question.
Sure.
Is there an example for the last comment you were making about the tech chair, that what you see is what's being recorded? So there could be other things that you're doing that might pop into the recording. Is there an example that you saw that something kind of popped up in the recording that shouldn't have been there? It's a great call out.
So for example, you want to hide non-video participants. If whoever is doing the recording has to hide non-video participants, it can't be that there's, a small speaker and a small towel for the moderator and then a ton of black squares with people's names on it. You don't want to see that. So now my guess is that Zoom actually has settings that can be set ahead of time to control what parts are being recorded. So for example, you don't want the recording to include what's happening in the participants pane or the chat box.
What you could also do potentially is put it in speaker view.
Well, speaker view works if there's only one participant, but if you need to see both the speaker and the moderator at the same time, that can cause problems. So things like that.
Right.
And I think I think the tech chairs will figure it out, but the point is the choices you make are going to depend on depend on your knowledge of what it's going to look like from the perspective of whoever's recording.
Does this document have like a recordings best practices section? This could be like one section we should add.
Well, actually,
I want to create
Can I chime in? The chat doesn't get recorded in the video, so you don't need to worry about the chat showing up and not looking right. But yes, the tech chair will have to have hide non-video participants enabled, because you don't want those, you don't want those to show up. At the same time, in general, it ran pretty smoothly, and I was sharing slides and the audio and everything. I mean, yes, what you have to do is you have to make sure that you're clear on what you're sharing and when you're sharing it. So for example, when I shared slides, I may also have been playing music. However, I was not sharing the video of the audio program that I was using to play music.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you're precise about what you're sharing, it isn't quite that touchy.
Okay.
It's
This is good to know.
a little more forgiving than you were painting it, but you absolutely do need to pay attention to the details like that.
So in the interest of time, I do intend to have a meeting with just the tech chairs and the tech co-chairs. This is mainly to figure out, kind of get a global view, and of course pick up anything critical from last time. Yes, Ellen?
I do have two comments. The first comment is that the latest Zoom versions can allow the users to pin multiple videos. So
Oh,
maybe
wow.
you can learn that. I think that feature was available about 3 to 4 weeks ago.
Okay, that's
And
good
that's
news.
one of the best things for the timer observation, because we have a lot of confusion if you don't manage the video feed well. The second comment is that I noticed there's a different recording options by the tech chairs last time. One was the recording to local computer, one's the recording to the cloud. We might
Right.
reevaluate that options.
I think if if the recording is started by the owner of the Zoom account, then there's a way to send it to the cloud.
It
But if it's,
depends. Both of our accounts will allow it to be recorded to the cloud.
Or to your
yes, what I
computer,
mean
right?
is that it might have to be you who starts the recording in that case.
I'm
If-
gonna make people the hosts, so you don't have to worry.
Okay, that's good.
And
And to
I'll have both computers up to start everything, yes.
Fantastic. Alrighty.
Just to dovetail
Uh,
with what Alan
Jacob?
said, just really quickly to dovetail with what Alan said, really cool to know that you could pin 2 videos, and then you could also drag the videos that you want to see. So that would be really good to be able to put the speaker and the timer next to each other and pin those two. So that's really cool updates for Zoom.
I would suggest, well, we can talk about this during the tech meeting.
Yeah.
Actually, I have some suggestions on that front. Okay. Obviously, the tech chair goes to anything tech related. I don't expect them to go to the briefings for the club officer trainers or the moderators, because I expect information that needs to be passed between those groups to happen via email or offline, basically. So I want to reduce there are already quite a few meetings that the tech chairs attend, so but I think that this is enough, that there's going to be one meeting just to discuss technical stuff. There's going to be a dry run where you have all the materials and you have the people necessary to do the dry run present. And then we're going to meet once for any final touches, any changes that based on what happened during the dry run. And then of course the TLI will happen, and the debrief, I suggest it be like the next day rather than after you've sat through 4.5 hours of an event. So yeah.
Thank you.
Also, something that I think will really help this time around is having a run of show document. The idea here is in the same way that normally you have an agenda for a Toastmasters meeting where anyone who attends can see what's coming up and when and who's responsible for that section. The run of show document is similar, except it's not intended for an attendee, it's intended for the tech chair. And so the tech chair knows, okay, at this time, I need to make sure these things are in place. At this time, I need to start the recording. At this time, I need to do X, Y, Z. And that way, they have a baseline to work from. And then of course, if anything happens, they'll adjust accordingly. So that's my plan. And I think it'll improve the experience from a technical perspective. Tech co-chair basically is your personal helper. So during our tech meeting, I'm gonna, of course, go over specifics, and that person is basically, they're going to get slides, music, whatever is necessary from you. And you will lay out your plan for what they have to do while you're doing other things. So for example, the two of you get to decide who plays whack-a-mole, who's gonna knock out people's audio and video when necessary, stuff like that. All right, there's 2 more roles, the featured speakers and the moderators. Obviously, these people work together in pairs, and they are responsible for submitting some information to the tech chairs and possibly to Tim and me as well. So for example, if they have slides for their session, you need to know about it, obviously, and they need to submit it to you on a reasonable time frame. And then we need to be able to practice with them during the dry run. And then any small changes that need to be made can be made in, let's say, the week between the dry run and the actual TLI. Are there any questions about this or any comments about this?
No.
Okay. I have a recommendation for Tim to consider, because I know that you're doing the moderator briefing. What you might want to do is actually have the speakers show up as well. And then that would, if you put them in breakout rooms by pair, then they get a chance to go over what they need at that same meeting. And then they can submit whatever information to our 2 tech chairs. It's a way to kill a few birds with one
Okay.
stone.
No argument. Most of the people who are speakers are very, very busy people. So when we have the moderators, I'll try and do that. Maybe what we need to do is pick a date for that and then make sure we have the moderators at that
That makes
meeting.
sense. Alrighty, so now we are going to have a short break. I'm not sure where I put this. Oh yes, if you go to our document, 3 minutes, and come back to this Zoom meeting.
I may not be able to come back because it's going to be downloading the
Ah.
recording. So we'll see how that goes. So I'm going to, I'm going to stop recording and then leave the
Okay,
meeting right
sounds good.
now.